everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's fine weekend. Or, that doesn't make any sense. It's fine Monday, following a fine weekend. I wanted to talk a little bit about scary movies today, and I know I mentioned a few of them in the past, but I wanted to dive a little more deeply into the certain aspects of horror movies and address something that I heard somebody saying the other day that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and then very briefly touch on something I think we'll dive into more deeply later. So let's see if I can go through this very quickly, and maybe we'll dive deeper into future episodes. Horror movies, scary movies, very thrilling, a lot of fun, enjoyable, sometimes uncomfortable. I find that there's, I believe, 3 primary methods of scaring you. 4 if you count one that I don't find to be scary. So the primary method of scaring is atmosphere and mood. Every horror movie, regardless of whether you use any of the other tactics, really should be utilizing this tactic also. A lot of movies that aren't horror movies will utilize some of the other tactics, but if you can set an atmosphere of either fear or dread, dread's my favorite, the kind where like, oh, something is impending, this is bad. You can do that with the colors and acting and music and camera angles, cinematography, that kind of thing. Second thing is the jump scare, which that's what we're going to talk about in a minute. Something suddenly happens and you go, ah! Heart pounds, either that or you stare at something suddenly happens and you go, yeah, I saw that coming a mile away. Thank you very much. That was fun. The third thing is suspense. That kind of moments where something is coming or someone's kind of out on the edge. The kind of thing where the killer's out there and the potential victim, the heroine, the hero, are very safe inside the locked room, but they need to leave the locked room because they can't stay in the locked room forever, or there's another character who needs their help, and as soon as they open the door, they're going around the corner and they're wondering if the killer is coming around the corner. And you tie those 3 things together neatly and you get a really good package. You get the occasional jump scare after a suspenseful moment on a entire series of shots that are strung together with extreme mood, atmosphere, or dread. And that makes a really good movie. Then the other thing is, of course, gore. Especially the gratuitous gore that you would see in a movie like Hostel, where they're just going to we're going to show you every single little thing that we're going to do to this character. It's going to be gruesome and disgusting. And then in addition to that, you could have Event Horizon or other movies like that where there's going to be absolutely no subtlety to the kill whatsoever. You're going to see every single moment of the dismemberment. That has its place. There seems to be some kind of a market for that, but I don't find it at all scary. It's rather just disgusting. So, I wanted to mention the jump scare, because I heard somebody talking about the book It, which of course is going to be made into a movie, or is being made into a movie, has been made into a movie that is to be released later this year. The thing about It that he was talking about was how the book was scary, but a movie would be slightly differently scary. And he was calling jump scares cheap. And I don't know that that's true. I don't think jump scares are cheap. Jump scares are jump scares. They can be elegantly done. Especially if you have a nice movie where it's constantly got you in suspense and you're never sure when the jump scare is going to actually arrive. And a good jump scare has got a good timing in there where something is made different, so something is coming, but you're not sure when, and you're not able to guess when. When I was young, I played the original Resident Evil, which is of course filled with jump scares. Now when I was young, the timing got me. I don't think it would get me now. I think it'd be too quick for it. But when I was first playing that game, the jump scares were always preceded by the sound of something loading from the disc. So you would hear this, the laser moving back and forth, and then the dogs would jump through the window. Ah! That scared me the first time. The entire game, it startled me every time they did that. But then, I'm thinking about that now, and I think I would be a little too quick to notice that. But the kind of hey, guess what? Something's about to happen. Ah! Kind of thing. Is the timing on that is very difficult to get appropriately. The point is, I don't think jump scares are cheap. Do you? They're part of the movie. It doesn't make them cheap. You can have a movie that's entirely jump scares, and that would get boring. Wouldn't make it cheap, because cheap defines something that is effective, but not elegant. It's it works, but it's inelegant, right? Whereas if the entire movie were just jump scares, that wouldn't be cheap. It would be gratuitous, and it would not be very effective. You got to balance, I think, those first three, and then if you're going to throw in the fourth, you might be able to get rid of some of the others. Now, jump scares work great in thriller movies as well. The ones that don't have that sense of dread or that suspense. Jump scares work really well in to be tossed in occasionally into a suspense movie, a horror movie. A suspense movie or a thriller, even a crime action movie. You can throw in a jump scare every now and again just to keep people on their toes. It's not the primary focus of the movie. But then, you could have also the very subtle jump scare like you see in Paranormal Activity, which Paranormal Activity 2 and 3 were fantastic. They had these super duper subtle jump scares. They weren't even jump scares. It was just, oh my God, the chair moved. That's why I love those movies. Now, to go a little deeper into the movie It, with it coming up. I can't talk about this without puns all over the place, so just bear with me. I'm looking forward to this movie. I think it looks really, really good. I don't know that it's going to be able to capture the heart of the book very well. My biggest the biggest problem with this movie is the entire point of the book is that this creature comes at you and it reaches into your brain and it reads what you're afraid of and then it creates that thing. And in the book, to a certain extent, the thing that it's creating is in your own head. And then from the heads of the children and even the adults in the book, what they're most scared of. So it would be as if you could see it from their perspective. This thing that I'm terribly afraid of, I think it's coming. That is the thing that I'm afraid of, and it can build up to that. So you're going to need to do some awkward dialogue in order to explain why this kid is afraid of this bird, that kind of thing. But that being said, looking at the movie, it looks pretty entertaining. And people really seem to focus on the clown. Of course, that's what it's known as. It's the clown. But that's only one of the many guises that it takes on. Suffice it to say, I'm probably going to see this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the book, read it 3 or 4 times. But we're also probably going to do a podcast episode about it because it's awesome.